All right, I just want to talk a little bit about updating your firmware and ultimately just getting what a difference it makes on my K1 here. Updated the firmware and also the latest, as far as I know, extruder, and also the latest heater. I just upgraded all of those three things yesterday, and it is just printing awesome. Now, on the other hand, I am printing ASA, so that's sort of cheating because this stuff I've always found it's sort of the best material that I've printed with, although the nylon seems to print really good too. But yeah, so I have parts here. This is for my DIY build of my Vz330, and I don't know, tough to get much better than this. I see that I didn't randomize my seam, and that's fine. But so yeah, this printed obviously the brim, so printed this way up. Very nice. Tiny bit of ringing there. I would call that ringing. I don't know, would you call that ringing? A little kind of orange peel, a little bit. Somebody said that on Reddit, I think it was, that the K1 only uses only the Y-axis does input shaping. I don't know. That's the guy seemed to know what he's talking about, because they're talking about rooting it and going to fluid, and I'm considering that. I'm a little bit leery of software that I don't know where it's coming from, but maybe it's no big deal. Maybe it's just the image file and can't really do any harm to anything except, it obviously could hurt the printer. I'm really not worried about that. I'm worried about my data on my computer, right? But that's super nice. Another duct piece. Very nice. A little bit of spider webbing on the inside. That's interesting, but minimal. What else we got? Just a vertical duct. I mean, super nice prints now. I did notice that I might want to adjust my Z offset again, because I think I put it back to default. But it depends what I'm printing, because if I'm trying to print a perfect first layer just to have a clean sheet, then I think that, or at least on my machine, when I changed the Z offset from minus 0.05 millimeters to 0 millimeters, that was just about the perfect height for just the right first layer, if you're trying to do just the first layer. But on the other hand, it was like the bonding of the lines together. Like if you bent it a little bit, it would sort of crease a little bit. And so, if you're trying to make like a sheet of drafting paper or something, then like vellum, I think they used to call it back in the old board drawings days, you could it would be good for that, nice and flat on top. Whereas if you, with the minus 0.05 millimeter, it's a little bit on the top surface, it's a little bit like ridged, because my understanding is that the line width ends up slightly wider than the nozzle diameter, and so each line puts a little bit of a wake, right? And so it's almost like going with a boat through water. It pushes it off to the sides, makes little waves, and so obviously it's not propagating waves, but it's sort of a stationary wake is the best way I can say it in my imagination, from my imagination. It's interesting to see all this infill. Lots of prints to get all the parts for this build. This is my third batch, or fourth? Yeah, because I did a batch of black parts, which are mostly the frame supports, and then I did the first two. There was two big tall duct pieces, and I did those individually. Then I did these, and now I'm doing these, and I probably still have I probably still have another sheet of another print, print bed full of small and medium parts, and then there's some pretty big parts, primarily for the electronics enclosure, and then there's a big logo thing with the V. There's this V logo on a bunch of things for the Vz330 logo. I really don't care about his branding. No disrespect or anything. Just yeah, I don't need to do a big print just to show his logo huge on the side of the printer. Who knows? Maybe I will alter it and put a big smiley face or something. Who knows? But ultimately, yeah. So if you're not getting perfect prints, just make sure you upgrade your firmware. And it wasn't difficult. You basically do them in order. You have to do each. I don't know if you have to do all of them, but I followed the instructions and it said to do 3 of them in a row, and it kind of skipped one and it wouldn't work on mine. The last one didn't work unless I also did the second to last one. So I don't know if they've just made a mistake or if something different that I'm missing. But anyway, basically just update your firmware. And it's so easy. You just put the download the firmware file, put it on the USB drive, and plug it in. As soon as you plug the USB, you don't have to turn it off and back on or anything. Just plug it in, plug the USB drive into the printer, and it recognizes it. It recognizes that there is a image file, firmware image file, and it'll ask you if you want to do it, and you say yes. And if you did it without the correct previous one, it'll say error. But as long as you have all the previous firmware, if you do them sequentially, so you do the first one. You can't put them all on the drive at once, in my understanding. You have to do them one at a time, and you can also download them. I'm trying to not use the networking on here just because. But anyway, it's funny though. We're concerned about potential data privacy and things. It's real. The reality is if I'm already using the slicer on my computer, they could probably get access to all my files anyway. So it's a little sketchy. I don't think I'm doing anything ITAR or anything. So, but it's still my design files on there for my clients. But what are you going to do? I mean, that's the nature of computers. Put any program on your computer, it can probably look through your documents, right? So whatever. Hopefully they don't care enough to steal to knock off my clients' projects. But what can you do? You can't not install any programs on your computer, right? So, and a question for anybody in the know. I am trying to, so I got my new Pixel 7. This is not it. This is my old camera. And my Pixel 7 doesn't have a microphone jack, so I can't plug in this headset. I have some wireless earbuds with a microphone. I can use that, but that's not nearly it's much noisier on the audio recording. And then I realized, I said, oh, you know what? I have a Bluetooth dongle from some years ago, but I don't think it'll work because the battery's probably dead because it's been sitting so long. Well, I just dug it out today. Surprise, surprise. It does work. I was very surprised to see that I plugged it in, and after a few seconds, it started charging. And I was like, great, it's going to work great. Because I was going to buy a Bluetooth dongle, right? And so I tried my Bluetooth dongle, and for whatever reason, it doesn't record the audio. So I plug my headset, this same headset, I plug it into the Bluetooth dongle. I connect to Bluetooth via to my phone, and then I record. And it's both phones. Both phones, they don't record with the boom mic. They record with the phone microphone, and I can tell that because I basically just tap the microphone instead of speaking into it. In that way, I know it's not recording from the boom because I can't hear the tap, right? So anyway, maybe you could put in the comments what I'm doing wrong. But like and subscribe and share and comment and all that good stuff, and happy printing.